Welcome back. So I've got a lot of albums to review. Whether I'm going to do single reviews for all of them, like with the Psycho album here, or I'm going to compile them all into one, that is really kind of up in the air in this point. So we'll see how this one goes. But I really wanted to talk about this album separately because it's one of the bigger rap releases of the year, considering of where we kind of came from. So I want to start off by talking about Lovesick first. So, with time, Lovesick has a critic score of a 67 over the course of 4 reviews, and then a user score of a 56 with around 1,880 reviews. So, I remember when this album was about to be released, so there was quite a bit of anticipation behind it. And I remember that Don Toliver himself was talking about how this was kind of a concept record in a way. And when this album released, it was a little bit of a different sound per se. Not so much that it completely altered the soundscape of his work, but it definitely was a little bit more of an experiment with his sound. Now, I don't really think that it worked. Mostly because I feel like it didn't go far enough, or it was kind of dumbing itself down a little bit, especially after Life of a Dawn and Heaven and Hell. Lovesick seemed like very light. It seemed very kind of pillowy in a way that it just didn't really pack much of a punch. And that love concept really is non-existent. So over time, this album, Lovesick in general, has become a pretty weak listen. So with HARDSTONE PSYCHO, I was expecting to go back into a sound that was a little bit more familiar. And do we get that? Yes, we do. But with a little bit of a darker twist. This is a lot of a darker sound, definitely in contrast with Lovesick. And it kind of goes back to the Heaven and Hell kind of darker banger territory. There is a lot more of kind of higher tempo, higher energy kind of songs on here. And Don Toliver finds a way to work them out, and this is one of his best projects because of it. So, critic score of a 70. Now, of course, that's only one review. It's very early. And the user score of a 73. So, getting a lot more better received than Lovesick has. And the moments on this album that I find the most interesting are those more kind of higher kinetic energy songs. In particular, Kryptonite kind of is a little bit more familiar territory, but the way it starts off, just the way the motorcycle just kind of revs up, the kind of almost Halloween kind of synths going on, it does paint this album to be a little bit darker and a little bit more kind of nocturnal in its sound. And then you get Tore Up, which has that kind of that heavy guitar, like hard rock guitar kind of solo kicking around in the background. I feel like there's some kind of 80s rock sample going on. But that energy is just fantastic on that song. Brother Stone is honestly my favorite song off the album, which is surprising because it is so minimal in its production with just this little piano lead and just these simple, just big bass hits across different kinds of tempos. And Kodak Black brings the best performance I've heard from him, honestly, since Mr. Morale. He brings a great energy, even though the flow is very similar. It doesn't really stray off the course that much. It does really provide some really amazing energy and moments across the song. Deeper into the track list, you got 4x4, which is a little bit more of that slower pace, but you still get those deep bass hits and more of that, again, nocturnal sound. But then you get moments like Inside, which provides a little bit more of a cool down moment and allows for Don Toliver and Travis to have some really good chemistry once again, and just provides a nice little kind of easing experience from all of the chaotic nature that the first half of this album really gives. Ice Age is another great example. Backstreets is another example with a better use of Tizo Touchdown, because off the deluxe of Lovesick, Tizo Touchdown didn't have the best foot forward for that one. But overall, I think this album is a big improvement. It was is really just going back to the sound that he's kind of familiar with, but it's bringing a darker twist. And Don Toliver still has the great vocals. He still has these amazing ways of working sticky hooks. And overall, this is just a pretty great experience. Now, there's something that can be said that this album can run a little bit long at 50 minutes. And when you have a album that kind of has the same sound going throughout it, some songs can stick out a lot more than others. I think this album also being broken up into 4 separate discs is a little bit disjointed. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. But I do feel like the songs that really do stick out really do kind of push the album forward, where you do feel like the album may get a little bit stagnant. There is moments sprinkled through here that do really pick it up. So overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. Now, I'm giving so many albums like 8s out of 10s and 9s out of 10s, and honestly, I'm just really liking music at the moment, and I'm not trying to find albums that I absolutely despise listening to. But that's just the way I'm feeling. 8 out of 10. I really like this record. I'll probably be returning to, especially Brotherstone, quite a bit. What are your thoughts on Don Toliver with HARDSTONE PSYCHO? Are you really enjoying it? Are you kind of not liking it as much? Does it kind of fall in the same territory as Lovesick? I'm kidding. Ugh. But let me know how you're feeling about it. Have a good night, and I'm going to record some more videos because I have a lot of catching up to do. So keep on the eye out for those, and once again, have a good night.